All right, today we're jumping into something a little unexpected, an ancient debate from the Talmud. Now, I know, but stick with me, because this is not just about some obscure religious rule. It's actually a masterclass in logic and a surprisingly modern way of thinking. And it all starts with a very, very sharp object.
So how much logic can you pack onto the tip of a knife? I know, it sounds like a weird riddle, right? But as you're about to see, this incredibly simple tool is going to unlock a whole world of complex reasoning, problem solving, and even system design that you see every single day.
Okay, so our story kicks off with a pretty simple, almost everyday problem. Let's imagine we're in a kosher butcher shop and something's just happened that needs a solution, and fast.
So here's the deal. A butcher does a kosher slaughter, but, and this is a big but, the knife he used belongs to a non-Jew. Now, according to Jewish law, that knife is considered ritually unclean. Why? Because it might have some tiny residue from non-kosher food on it, and that knife just touched the fresh meat.
And just like that, we've got ourselves a puzzle. The meat is now potentially contaminated. So what do? Is it a total write-off? Can you save it? This isn't just a thought experiment. We're talking about real money and real religious observance on the line.
Well, you guessed it. This exact problem sparked a huge debate between two legendary Talmudic sages. They both came up with a solution, but their answers were completely different. And that difference, well, that's where things get really interesting.
So on one side, you've got Rav. He says you have to take some pretty serious action. Peel off the entire outer layer of meat that the knife touched. But then, on the other side, you have Rabba bar Ḥana. His fix is way simpler. Just rinse the spot with some water. I mean, we're talking peeling versus rinsing. One is a huge pain and wastes meat. The other is super easy. So what gives? Why the big disagreement?
Okay, to really get what's going on here, we have to peel back a layer ourselves. It turns out the two sages are working off a hidden assumption, a really basic principle of physics that completely changes the game. The key idea here is something called absorption. And in the world of kosher law, heat is the magic ingredient. Think about it like this. A hot sponge soaks up way more water than a cold one, right? It's the same idea here. The belief is that hot food will absorb flavors, or in this case, forbidden residue, from a knife way more easily than cold food. And that brings us to what seems to be the million-dollar question. The whole argument between Rav and Rabba looks like it just comes down to this one simple thing. At the very moment of slaughter, is the animal's neck hot or is it cold? If it's hot, the meat absorbs the bad stuff, so you have to peel it. If it's cold, it doesn't, so you can just rinse it. Case closed, right?
Yeah, not so fast. This is where the Talmud just gets incredible. It doesn't settle for the easy answer. Instead, it acts like this brilliant detective who refuses to close the case, exploring every single possibility and pushing the logic to its absolute limit.
Let's actually walk through this thought process. It starts with the obvious theory in step 1. Rav thinks it's hot, Rabba thinks it's cold. But then, the Talmud just throws that theory out the window. It asks, wait a minute, what if they both agree that it's hot? Could the argument still work? And then it does it again, completely flipping the script. Okay, what if they both agree that it's cold? This method forces you to dig so much deeper.
Okay, so let's play this out. Let's entertain this first alternative. Let's pretend for a second that everybody agrees the neck is hot. Now, logically, that should mean everyone agrees you have to peel, but that's not what happens.
So in this everyone agrees it's hot world, Rav's view is still pretty simple. Hot equals absorption, so you peel. But check out Rabba's argument now. It's so much more subtle. He says, sure, it's hot, but the windpipe and gullet are gushing out so much blood that there's an outward pressure. Nothing from the knife can get absorbed in. All of a sudden, this isn't a debate about physics anymore. It's about physiology.
But you think the Talmud is finished? No way. It just goes, okay, scratch that. Let's try the complete opposite. What if we assume both sages agree that the neck is cold? Now you think, okay, finally, everyone agrees, you just have to rinse. But nope, the logic takes another twist.
So in this everyone agrees it's cold world, Rabba's view becomes the obvious one. Cold means no absorption, so rinsing is fine. Simple. But look at what happens to Rav's argument. It gets super sophisticated. He says, okay, you're right, it's cold, so heat isn't causing absorption, but the sheer physical pressure of the blade is literally pressing the residue into the meat. Now the debate isn't about heat, it's not about blood, it's about pure kinetic force.
So, wow, we've gone through temperature, physiology, mechanics, but this isn't just some mind-bending puzzle. This deep dive into theory is exactly what allows the Talmud to build practical, real-world systems that are basically foolproof.
So, how do you make sure this whole mess never even happens? Well, Rav comes up with this totally brilliant bit of system design. He rules that to avoid any and all doubt, a kosher butcher shouldn't use just one knife. He needs 3.
And why 3? It's simple. Each knife gets one job and one job only. One is exclusively for the act of slaughter. A second knife is just for cutting the good, permitted meat. And a third knife is only for cutting away the forbidden fats. It's all about separating the tools to prevent any mix-ups.
Now, you might be thinking, hold on a second. This seems like overkill. Couldn't a butcher who's paying attention just use one knife and be careful to cut the meat before the fat? And that's the exact question the Talmud asks.
And the answer is just profound. The system isn't designed for a perfect person who never gets distracted. It's designed for a human being, someone who gets tired, who has a million things on their mind, who might just make a simple slip-up. The sages made a rule to protect people from their own nature. Having separate knives makes it so much harder to mess up. It's all about designing a system that expects you to make a mistake and protects you from it.
And this genius idea doesn't just apply to knives. The exact same logic gets applied to another tool in the butcher shop, the water you use for rinsing. A butcher needs 2 of them.
You see the pattern here, right? It's the exact same logic. One container of water is only for rinsing the good stuff, the permitted meat, and a second one is only for rinsing the forbidden parts. It's a system of separation designed to make it incredibly hard to have an accident, even if you're not paying 100% attention.
And that brings us all the way back to today, to our own lives. This ancient way of thinking, of building systems that account for human error, is literally all around us. It's that little pop-up box that asks, are you sure you want to permanently delete this file? It's the reason a 3-pronged plug can only go into the wall one way. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What other systems in your daily life are secretly designed, just like those 3 knives, to protect you from, well, yourself?